My name is Marissa Cole, and for most of my life, I believed in love stories. The kind where you meet someone, fall hard, and build a forever together. For years, I thought I had that with my husband, Derek. We had a home filled with laughter, whispered promises, and plans for the future. At least, that's what I believed. But let me tell you something, betrayal doesn't knock before it enters your life. It seeps in quietly, in the late nights, the unanswered calls, the cold side of the bed that once felt warm. I noticed Derek pulling away. His eyes didn't light up when he looked at me anymore. He became secretive, always clutching his phone like it held his soul. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I'd changed. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. That's when my best friend, Jenna Rivers, looked me in the eye and said, "Marissa, you're not crazy. Trust your gut." And so I did. I bought a tiny hidden camera and placed it in the one place I thought Derek would never betray me, our bedroom. That decision changed everything. Because one night, while I was miles away, I opened my phone, and what I saw on that screen shattered every piece of the woman I used to be. In the bed where I once dreamed of forever, my husband lay with someone else. And I watched. When I first met Derek Cole, I thought I'd won life's lottery. He was charming, funny, and had a way of making me feel like the only woman in the room. We married young, built a home together, and for years, I truly believed we were unshakable. But slowly, things began to change. At first, it was subtle. Late nights at work. Business trips that seemed to appear out of nowhere. He'd come home tired, distant, and the warmth that once lived in his voice turned into short, sharp replies. I tried to fix it. I cooked his favorite meals, left little notes in his car, even planned surprise dates. But instead of smiling, he seemed annoyed, as if my efforts were interruptions to a life I was no longer part of. I'd ask him, "Derek, is something wrong? Are we okay?" And he'd sigh, roll his eyes, and say, "Marissa, you're imagining things. Stop being paranoid." Those words stung. Paranoid. Crazy. Unreasonable. I started doubting myself. Was I really making up stories in my head? But then there were the moments I couldn't ignore. The smell of perfume on his shirt that wasn't mine. The lipstick smudge on a glass he swore he drank from alone. And worst of all, the way he began locking his phone, guarding it like a secret. That was when Jenna, my best friend, stepped in. She listened quietly, then said something I'll never forget. "Marissa, if he's making you question your reality, it's because he doesn't want you to see the truth. Trust your instincts." Her words sank deep into me. That night, with trembling hands, I ordered a hidden camera online. I told myself it was just for peace of mind. That I'd catch nothing, and life would go on. But a part of me knew. A part of me already felt the knife before it ever touched my heart. The day the camera arrived, my hands shook as I opened the box. I felt like a criminal in my own home, sneaking around, hiding something in the very walls that once held our love. I tucked the tiny lens high on a bookshelf across from our bed, so small, so invisible. The first few days, nothing happened. I checked the recordings late at night, heart pounding, only to find Derek sleeping alone, scrolling his phone, or staring blankly at the ceiling. For a moment, I almost let myself believe he was innocent. That I was just a wife drowning in her own insecurities. But then came the night that proved everything. I had gone to visit my mother for the weekend. It was late when I curled up in her guest room, opened my phone, and tapped into the live feed. At first, it was just Derek. He walked into the room with a glass of wine, looking relaxed, almost smug. Then the door opened again. A woman followed him in, confident, laughing, dressed like she belonged in my space. She was younger, with long dark hair that swung over her shoulders as she set her purse on my dresser. Brielle Hayes. I didn't know her name yet, but I would. My breath caught in my throat as I watched Derek pour her a drink. They clinked glasses, sitting on the edge of my bed, our bed, talking like this was their secret world. And then, they leaned in close. In that moment, my entire body froze. The truth was no longer a suspicion. It was alive, moving, breathing, right in front of my eyes. I wanted to scream. To smash my phone. To drive home and drag them both out into the street. But I didn't. Instead, I pressed record. Because sometimes, silence is louder than rage. On the screen, I watched as Derek slid closer to her. His hands, the same hands that once held me when I cried, now traced over her skin like I had never existed. They laughed between whispers, their bodies sinking into the sheets that still smelled of me. Every second was a dagger. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. My eyes burned, my chest tightened, and all I could hear was the sound of my heart breaking in rhythm with their laughter. This was no drunken mistake. This was routine. Comfort. They had done this before, many times, I realized. The way she moved through the room, touching my lamp, straightening the blanket, smirking like she owned the place, she wasn't a stranger here. She was familiar. Too familiar. And Derek, my Derek, didn't even look guilty. He looked alive. More alive than I had seen him in months. I pressed my hand over my mouth to stop the sobs from escaping. Tears blurred the screen, but I kept recording. Every kiss, every whisper, every betrayal. It was more than infidelity. It was humiliation. They weren't just taking my marriage, they were taking my safe place, the space I trusted most. My bed was no longer mine. I could have stormed in that very moment. Driven all night and caught them red-handed. But as I watched him lay back with her head on his chest, something inside me hardened. Why should I interrupt? Why should I scream, cry, beg, when I could plan? That was the night Marissa Cole, the wife who doubted herself, died. And in her place, someone else was born, someone who would no longer be gaslight, silenced, or broken. I didn't just want the truth anymore. I wanted justice. And I had every second of it on tape. The next morning, I drove home. Not in a rush, not in panic, calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that only comes when pain burns so deep, it turns into fire. Derek was already at the kitchen table, sipping his coffee like any ordinary husband. He looked up and smiled faintly. "You're back early." I didn't answer. Instead, I slid my phone across the table. The screen lit up with the video. His face drained of color the moment Brielle's laugh filled the room. He froze, coffee cup trembling in his hand. "Marissa." Don't, I cut him off, my voice steady. "Don't you dare lie to me again." He tried anyway. Excuses. Weak apologies. Empty promises. But the evidence spoke louder than his words. Every second of betrayal, captured in perfect clarity. And I didn't stop there. I found her. Brielle Hayes. With a single click, I sent the recording to her family, her friends, even her employer. Let them see the woman who thought she could crawl into another woman's marriage and claim it as her own. By evening, my phone buzzed with messages, her begging me to delete it, Derek swearing on his knees that he'd change. But I didn't flinch. The next day, I walked into a lawyer's office. Divorce papers. Irrefutable proof. No more gaslighting, no more manipulation. This time, the truth was mine to wield. When Derek tried to reach for my hand, I pulled it back. The man who once promised me forever was now nothing more than a stranger who had underestimated me. He thought I'd break. But I didn't. I rose. People often ask me if it hurt, seeing the truth with my own eyes. And my answer is simple, yes. It shattered me. It broke me in ways I can't fully describe. But it also rebuilt me. Because the moment I chose to stop doubting myself, the moment I decided to trust my instincts, I took my power back. Derek thought his lies would keep me blind. He thought gaslighting me would make me question my sanity. But he forgot one thing: when you silence a woman long enough, eventually, she learns to speak with proof instead of words. Today, I'm no longer Mrs. Cole, the wife who waited up at night for a man who never came home. I'm Marissa Cole, a woman who walked away with dignity, with truth in her hands, and with the strength to start over. And as for Brielle? She lost the game she thought she was playing. Because when you build your life on someone else's pain, it always crumbles in the end.